Keanu, what's up, brother?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good, man. Glad to have you on here, man. Excited, especially for some of the stuff we were sharing off camera, and definitely excited to talk a little bit about it today. Brother, before we dive into it, joining into the program, when you first started, what were some of the biggest hesitations or worries you had where maybe some other people who might be looking to join in or get themselves into something, invest in themselves, they might be a little bit hesitant first? What were some of yours?
Um, Man, honestly, the one big thing that prevented me from wanting to make the investment, even though I knew that it was gonna be the thing that would propel me to that next level, I think was fear. I think one of the biggest things that stopped me was me feeling like I had the capability to actually go through with it and do the things that you were teaching. um um yeah, it was just one of those things where I kind of would prevent myself from pulling the trigger on it, because I was like, oh man, like can I actually discipline myself to do this? Can I do the thing? Can I do, you know what I mean? So uh I think it was just fear in my ability to follow through with instruction, I guess, would what I would boil it down to.
And what would you say once you came into the program? What would you say is the biggest thing that you learned, and the biggest takeaway that you had once you started getting involved?
uh Honestly, the biggest thing was the first segment of the program. You dive into like the whole mindset thing, which immediately, like, with that being my biggest concern, the steps that you take to build that bulletproof mindset, um, and finding your why and all these things that help contribute to your success as far as disciplining yourself and understanding why you're doing the things that you're doing, things like that. That section alone was worth the investment. And then the fact that you teach all these other things on top of that. But having that groundwork off the bat is what really solidified my emotional investment in it, not just my financial investment in it. You get what I'm saying?
Totally. And I say it all the time, with anybody going through anything, the mindset is definitely one of the biggest pillars, along with the way you schedule things out to have success with any tools. So the fact that you're pointing that out, I could truly say that yes, even in myself experience, whenever I've invested in coaching as well, mindset's the biggest thing. If your mindset is not there, it ain't gonna work. And
Yeah.
clearly you work through the mindset, and you've also put in the work to have the success you're having. So what for you, along the program, what were some of the key moments, the key, I would say, aha moments that you were like, man, this works. I'm actually making this happen.
Um, well, one of the biggest things that changed for me was the thing, because you mentioned it just now, the schedule. You know, respect your schedule and your schedule will respect you,
Mm-hmm.
dude. Once I started like creating my schedule and sticking to it, creating the time in the day to prospect, creating the time to do this, to do that, and sticking to it, and not basically making it a non-negotiable. That alone changed everything for me. And um, and then turning around and actually doing the prospecting work, because we've spoken about it a million times. Like, I hated doing that stuff. Like, you know what I mean? I don't like cold messaging people. I didn't like all that stuff. But you know what? Sometimes you just need that, and you provide a template for it so that it doesn't seem so like robotic and it seems more personable. But because you remember our coaching calls, that it was a little bit difficult for me to kind of do that. And once I got like out of my own head and started doing it, I was like, okay, well, this is the way that leads are generated. Once I got in front of people, then it created the repetition of just, building that rapport with people. Once you do that, it builds the repetition of being comfortable on selling your services, or and having them think about it as an investment, which is something you talk about. And dude, there's so many, we could go on for a long time, but that was definitely the one biggest thing, was just based around the schedule. And then once the schedule solidified and you start, making non-negotiable for the prospecting and all these things that other coaches may also feel uncomfortable with, like, dude, game changer.
Mm. So the moment you applied those things right away, would you say that the way your business was operating completely changed as far as the success rate?
I would say that yes, creating that repetition, especially for someone like myself, where maybe the selling part of it isn't necessarily uncomfortable, but the fact that, like, I imagine most people are transitioning from maybe being in-person trainers to being online coaches, and that was where I was always ultra comfortable in front of other people and things like that. It was hard for me to make the connection of that value, of bringing that value when you're not seeing those people in person. And I think creating that repetition of just working with people in general just really made it a lot easier to make that transition to an online space. Does that answer your question?
Totally. And again, it goes back to the hard work that you put in. At the end of the day, I'm here to give you the tools, but if you don't apply them, it ain't gonna get used and ain't gonna get your results. So the fact that you put in the work, give yourself a round of applause for that as well, because you put in the work, you applied the tools given, and you made it happen. Now I want to talk about the challenge. I know we set a challenge for you up back in December. It was gonna go into January, and it was gonna be our December challenge to get people moving and going and getting their goals before even the new year came. Talk to me a little bit about that. Share with people, a little bit of your experience and some of the successes you had of that challenge.
So you had given me the idea of creating this 31-day challenge for the month of December to get people, like you said, quick recap, getting people kick started on their goals now. And that alone was a draw for people. The fact that most coaches would be wanting to start something in January when everyone's all like, new year, new me. But what people enjoyed about the challenger, liked about the challenger, what drew them in was the fact that we were starting in December. So the factor of some sort of accountability just during the holidays was already a draw for people. Then you combine the fact that, if you're a coach that actually knows what they're doing, you're going to get people results in a 30-day period. I don't know how other people's nutritional systems are set up. But my focus on my particular system was on fixing people's metabolisms. So a lot of people enjoyed not only the accountability factor, but the fact that, in the process of fixing their metabolism, they lost weight and all this stuff and all these things, where people were eating more food and losing weight. Like, dude, that's a huge draw for people. You know what I mean? Like, what, you're eating more and losing weight? I want to know more. So like I post, someone would text me that, like, oh, I can't believe how much I'm eating. And I lost like 4 pounds. What's going on? And I was like, screenshot, put it on my story. And then somebody else would message me. You know what I mean? So it was just getting those updated kind of like mini testimonials throughout. Huge game changer. Once the challenge was over, had all those testimonials, game changer. And then you got, however many people signed up for your challenge, all of them want to work with you, and then you take it from there. You apply the things that you teach in your program and make money. I mean,
That's it. That's it. Who's going to complain about that? So I got to ask you, how many people signed up for your challenge? First off, how many people stuck all the way through till the end? And then I want to know, how many people did you get to start working with you as clients that you sold after the challenge?
All right. So we had initially put 100 people cap on it. Right. So I want to say I got pretty close to 100 initially. And then, you're going to have those people that have the excuses and things like that. Like, oh, it's a little bit too much during the holidays. I just don't want, and then they'll drop off. So by the time I weeded out the people that were not very serious about it. I ended up maybe with about 60 or so. From those 60, we live in weird times. So a couple people got sick during that time, and then they just felt like so much time had passed. They didn't want to stick it out. So I dropped like another 10 people dropped. So by the time it was all said and done, the amount of people that actually finished the entirety of the challenge was, I want to say, roughly anywhere from like 35 to 40 people, for which out of those 35, 40, I was able to successfully close 11. And I still have, I want to say, maybe another 5 to 6 people to contact, 4 of which of those are still good prospects. So, about 33% close rate, man. That's not bad.
Not bad at all, man. Not bad at all. And it goes to show you that if you do these things properly, you attack, you go after the right initial people. You stay consistent. Again, you're delivering the right workload that you're supposed to as a coach, and you're giving people results. People will sign up. And at the end of the day, it's a numbers game, right? You have to have a certain number of people, and that's why I said let's find out those numbers. The goal was hit 100. You were shy of that a little bit. Approximately of some people, weren't as serious. You ended up working with about 60 something people. Out of the 60 something, life, holidays, COVID, you had about 7 to 10 people drop. You have now about 35 to 40 people. That's still enough numbers to be able to have a big turnaround. And you got initially closed in on 11 people from those 35 to 40, and you still got people remaining, prospects that you still have to contact, and you'll probably have another, at least another 3 to 4 sales from that. So, dude, congrats on that, man.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I appreciate it.
That's awesome, dude. So for you, what would you say is what is your next step that you're looking forward to, as far as you scaling your business? And then lastly, what would be the biggest piece of advice that you would leave off to everybody who's listening that might be hesitating to get themselves involved in this coaching program or any coaching program that they're scared to invest in themselves in?
Yeah. Okay. So, repeat the first question again real quick.
So moving forward now, what are you looking forward to when it comes to scaling?
Oh, okay. All right. Well, the one big thing is that even though I've increased the amount of people that I'm legitimately working with, not just doing the challenge, while I'm on pace to be making the most money I've ever made in my life in a year, I'm still nowhere near. Now that I've moved in the online space, I'm literally working like half the time, and I'm making the most money that I've ever made. So my goal moving forward is to fill that schedule up, right? And eventually, hopefully, scale to a point where I need to hire another coach to help, bring in more business. So that's the next step as far as scaling. And remind me what the second question was again.
And the second question is, what is the biggest piece of advice you would leave off to everybody in the audience who might be hesitant or they're in fear of or believing that they can do this, joining this program or investing in themselves overall?
Got you. All right. So I guess the first thing I'm going to say is, and this is a little cliche, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard it, but you'll never regret investing in yourself. So investing in yourself is going to be the best investment you ever make, right? But now I'm going to get a little nerdy because I'm sure a lot of people have seen the MCU and all this stuff. And I'm a visual person. So I'm going to throw a little visual at you. Like, like in those superhero movies, how you have like the main hero. And when it's like a low level threat, he can handle it on his own. Right. Mm. Then you got like those mid-level threat people where they bring in like the other person, like an Iron Man 2.
Another one.
You got to bring in War Machine, and then they handle that together. But then you got like a Thanos level threat, right? Where you got to bring in all the Avengers and all that stuff. So, man, for me, wanting to get out of working, 50 plus hours a week and scaling and being able to go online, that's a Thanos level threat, dude. You know what I mean? So for a long, long time, I really tried to handle it on my own. But I realized that it was a Thanos level threat. I needed to call in the Avengers. Anthony, the Avenger, came in, helped me out. Dude, honestly, you say it, and you say it pretty often, or you have said it at least to me in our coaching calls pretty often, is like, man, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like, just stick to the program and do what it says. And I'll be honest, man, when I joined the program, I was still trying to reinvent the wheel. I was still I was doing the things you were telling me, but I was still trying to do a little bit of it my way. And then at one point I was just like, well, it's not working with my way. Let's just 100% do it your way. And that's when I got the results, man.
Brother, what can I say, man? At the end of the day, it's all a learning lesson. It's all a learning process. And just like you said, man, when you allow yourself to understand that, hey, I'm gonna just be as coachable as possible. I'm gonna go in there and do what is told. The same way that it comes to playing sports, to being in the classroom and learning, the same way applies to whatever it is that you invest in yourself in your life. And you did that, man. So whether it took a few bumps along the way, you know, you still did it. You made it happen. You got the results. You put in the work, and I appreciate you for being, you know, a great client as well, my dude, and a great friend too. So, dude, much success to you, and I look forward to your scaling. And you know that I'm always here to help out.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Always.